Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of The Stone Genius. This is Ro, I am the Stone Genius. Welcome to the program. Kind of weird having music. I feel like I'm almost the DJ. Okay, I made some changes with my microphone. Not to the actual microphone, but to the way I have it set up. That song in the background, Big House by Harry Bodley Scott. Once again, Harry Bodley Scott out of the UK with Big House. Coming at ya on America's Top 1. Not a thing. Anyway, Harry is a member of the Society, the International High IQ Society, and that's how I became aware of Harry's music. And now I'm a big fan. Harry will be on the show coming up soon. Once again, I hate that. I do not enjoy, in my current configuration, and I'm going to have to listen to this or get some feedback from people on, I took my pop filter off as well, so I need to see whether that makes a difference now. I took it off because I didn't like the way it sat. It never seemed, it was between my mouth and the microphone, which is where it's supposed to be. However, it didn't sit right. It was always like not even, something was off. So that's why I didn't enjoy that. Back to Harry. Harry will be on the show sometime soon. Couple things going on. Trying to figure out how to transition this or introduce video to some of these, especially when I do interviews with guests. Harry is in the UK, so we also have to figure out logistics of when would be a best time. Typically for me, that would be early morning, which is mid-afternoon UK. I believe they're +5. From where I am. So at 7 a.m., I believe it's noon there. And if you are an artist, and I believe that Harry plays in pubs, I don't know if that's actually where he plays. I just wanted to say the word pubs today, because we just say bars here in America. So when I'm getting up and going, oh, I could do a show now, then Harry's probably sound asleep. And then if I try to do it in the evening with Harry, then they're out performing. They're out living life. Speaking of living life, next week I hope to have a guest. I'm going to go ahead and share their Instagram because I want people to go out and see this and the talent this gentleman has, so that you all can be as excited when I talk to him as I will be talking to him. So, at Kenny did that. Once again, Instagram. I'm sure that Kenny has a lot of other places that I don't visit, like social media, just because I'm a nearly 55-year-old white guy. Just let that sink in for a second. Okay, so that's enough time to let that sink in. Did I really have anything to talk about today? See, I just totally... So, configuration, I moved my mic instead of having my boom arm above and the mic hang below, which if I transition... Which is not good if I do video, because then the mic is literally right in my face. Which actually, now that I think about that and I say that out loud, that may be the best for video. They'll be like, originally people would tune in and they'd be like, I can't see his face. And then like when my face would be in shot, they'd be like, oh, go back to the blocked setup. That would be, let's do the block framing there where the microphone is directly in front of their face. Kenny is we used to work together in the photography field, Kenny and I, and then Kenny did something that old people can't do. went out on their own. Oh, shoot. See, the crowd is going crazy. Just took them a minute to show up. So one of the reasons that I continue to, as an artist, as a photographer, as whatever, to be associated with the corporate world, because here in America, we do not have socialized medicine. Here in America, we do not believe that having the right to health care is something that should be given to everyone. Seems like it should be. I mean, the rest of the world seems to agree that it should be, just not here. So I have to be in the corporate world because, so that's one thing that stinks here in America about having your insurance tied to your job. When you're young, it doesn't make a difference. You don't think about your benefits for the most part. You're at least not your health benefits. You're young, you think you're healthy, whatever, and heaven forbid there'll never be any accidents. So you don't think about that thing. So if you change jobs and you have to wait 30, 45, or 60 days to get health care, that's not a big deal. You believe that you can cover that gap. I feel like my pop filter would have helped right there. When you're older, then you are concerned about that. Because I'm not even sure that I would be able to change jobs at this point unless the job that I went to, and there's a few, not many, that are out there that offer healthcare from day one. And if you wanted to, if a company, and we're going to talk about companies at some point, how their decisions and what they do picking EQ over IQ is a detriment, and how it will destroy them and eat them like a cancer from inside. We'll discuss that at some point. So, not to delve into my whole political beliefs about healthcare and everything else. So let's get back to Kenny. Kenny and I met working in the corporate world photography-wise. One thing I love about Kenny is I have no idea what Kenny's IQ is. We have never done anything outside of work when we worked together, and that has been some time ago. But I, as someone of high IQ, believe that Kenny possesses a high IQ as well. The way that he talks and reacts to people. One of the greatest things I've ever heard was when he was in trouble, air quotations, in trouble about something, and a manager asked this, hey, I need to speak to you about this. And the response was, no, I'm good. Oh my gosh. Hold on. That needs applause. That was one of the funniest things. And they're like, no, I need to talk to you now. And it's like, no, I don't think you do. And it was just, and you know what? They never talked to him about that. It was great. So, but the reason Kenny will be on is not for Kenny's nonconformist attitude. It's because when Kenny and I worked together, Kenny took some great pictures. Kenny, in my opinion, heavily edited those pictures so much so that it was hard for me and my little pea brain to disassociate the edits with the original photo. Now his stuff is amazing. If you want to see, and I don't even know if it's on Kenny's Instagram that far back and stuff, but I believe you would be able to see a transition in his style, in his niche, finding something that I feel like when I see what's provided to me on social media, which I'm sure is just the tip of the iceberg, nothing compared with the totality of what Kenny's doing. But what I see, I think you would see growth. I mean, I see what he's putting out both in video and in photography, and it is really, really good stuff. And this is as someone, as an award-winning photographer, you can look at other pictures. Like, I can tell if a picture was professionally taken or not. Even really good amateurs, good hobbyists will do things that someone in the business, in the industry will be like, that was not taken by a professional. Now, I will say that there are some professionals that maybe probably don't follow that guideline. And I guess I should also quantify what I term as a professional. A professional photographer is not me. If I was a professional, Kenny is a professional. I would call him a content creator, but he could also claim that he is a professional photographer. Seeing Kenny's work, 100% know that that gentleman can survive very, very well doing just photography, and he does so much more than that. So I'm excited to catch up with Kenny next week. We'll talk about what they're doing out there. Just amazing. But anyway, it's on Instagram, at Kenny Did That. Look at Kenny's stuff, because I really think that if you look at it before the show, you'll be even more excited to hear from Kenny. Really good stuff. What else we got going on? So I heard a quote yesterday, which I had heard before, and it was a quote attributed to Mike Tyson. I will say attributed because, there's always quotes that so-and-so said this, and it just, because it sounds like something they would say, you just go with it. And so the quote is attributed to Mike Tyson during his boxing career, not during his movie career with The Hangover. So he had said, attributed to Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get hit. I wonder how many young people have no idea. I bet you most of them have, because I'm trying to think back. Once again, talking this out as I go. So Mike Tyson's heyday would have been 85 to 95, maybe. So we're looking at nearly 40 years ago. And so I'm trying to think when I would have been, let's just say, a senior in high school, 1986, sorry, not that old. 1986, so that would have been like knowing who the boxing champion was in 1946. And I didn't know who that was. 1946 to 56. If someone would have, my senior year of high school, and I knew a shitload about sports, but if someone would have said, who was the heavyweight champion between 1946 and 1956, I would say, I have no idea. Don't even have a clue. I mean, so this is when I would show how dumb I am. Not really a big boxing guy. I mean, boxing was a bigger deal when I was growing up, and there were more, maybe not more. To me, because I don't know anything about, I couldn't tell you about anything in boxing right now. There's a guy named Fury. I can tell you that much. But back then you had Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, you have a name, Sugar Ray Leonard. You're either a pimp or a boxer. Maybe he was both. Anyway, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Randy Hagler, Muhammad Ali was at the end of his career. Then Mike Tyson was up just destroying people. I mean, just destroying people. And people would be excited. That's when pay-per-view was starting to take off, and people would pay $40 for a Mike Tyson fight, and they would know, and they would hope and pray that it would last less than a minute. Instead of someone like me who would say, gosh, I hope this goes the distance, and maybe someone gets knocked out right near the final bell. Something like that. So I get my money's worth. But no, people want to just see Mike Tyson explode people. I mean, he would hit people so hard. So anyhow, anyway. He had said everybody has a plan until they get hit. So I decided to modify that statement to everyone thinks they are smart until they get rode. That's what I just said. Hold on. And road is R-O, capital R, capital O, apostrophe D. Everyone thinks they're smart until they get rode. Been watching, what was the movie? The Gray Man. So Bobby and I completed the movie The Gray Man that was recently released, at the time of this recording, recently released on Netflix. I like the movie. But there was a comment in there. This should not ruin anything for anyone that's seen it. Lloyd the Six. Those are two characters. Lloyd, the other one, Six. Lloyd says to Six, I think I'm better than you. Do you want to dance? Meaning, so it was a physical altercation that they were going to have, but he said, I think I'm better than you. Do you want to And so guess what? Because it was a movie, he said, no, I agree. I believe you're better than me. He laid down his arms and surrendered. I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. So then they fought and, I don't know what happened. I mean, I do know what happened. Bobby, however, doesn't know what happened. But I do know what happened. Bobby will find out what happened. It was... As far as the movie goes nowadays, it was long. It was 2 hours, 10 minutes, something like that. So it was, we like those hour and 30 minutes. You can start it late after dinner and still get done in bed before 10. So, but I love that line. I think I'm better than you, because I say that all the time. But I'm fine. Someone challenged me. And here's the thing. If you don't think I'm an alpha, then why are you letting me dictate the conversation? Like, if you disagree, for whatever reason, if I say I'm better than you. Because here's the thing, and I always say this, when two people are together, even if they're identical twins, one's better than the other. And if you don't believe that, why is one of the twins always the evil twin? Exactly. So one is always going to be better than the other. People, like I say, I don't think people, especially people that know me, I don't think they're so upset with my answer that I am better or smarter, whatever. So here's the thing. When I say I'm better than you, I'm just throwing that out there because I know it may bother you. Or I'm just putting you in your place, letting you know, here's the hierarchy. I'm up here, you fall. Now you get to figure out where you fall with everyone else. But challenge me. So my OG Sill, which would be my OG original. Is OG just original? Or is it original gangster? I believe OG's original gangster. So my original, no, that doesn't, nope. Nope. So just my original sister-in-law. Not OG sister-in-law. Just my original sister-in-law. She did want to challenge me one night. And I was so disrespectful. Now, I just say that because my intent, actually it was. I'm sure it was 100% disrespect. I played the game from another room. So we played Trivial Pursuit. She wanted to see if I was. She didn't want to see if she wanted to show me that she was smarter than me. She said it probably sounded exactly like I do. Here's the problem. We're going to talk about Vince from the I'm just making a note to try to remember to say that. So she wanted to challenge me in Trivial Pursuit. So brother and sister-in-law against Bobby and myself. I think I've mentioned this before. Bobby and I are very competitive people. When there is a game, Bobby is always my adversary. She always wants to put me in my place, always wants, unless it's a game like Trivial Pursuit. Then I believe that she would rather be on my team. So it was brother-in-law, sister-in-law against me and Bobby. They're sitting at the kitchen table. I'm going to try to set this. I'm going to try to paint a picture for you. So at that time, it was our first house here in Kansas City as a front-to-back split. They were upstairs at the kitchen table. I was downstairs, visible, but in the living room, watching TV. So I am playing the game in the kitchen, yet absent from the kitchen, I am in front of the TV watching TV. Just to paint the picture. So we start the game. They go first. I believe there were a couple of answers made, and then rolls over our team. And so Bobby, the question would be read. I would hear the question read, and either Bobby would know it an answer, or if I knew it, then I would yell the answer from another room. And so I think we went back and forth a couple times. They went, they finally missed. We went, finally missed, back and forth. And then after a couple of back and forth, it was kind of like, okay, let's just end this. So we went out and just closed it out. We went the rest of the game. And so I 100% not only felt like I needed to stomp them instead of the back and forth, where I really wasn't paying that much attention. I'd kind of hear the question and throw an answer back out and be like, eesh, maybe that wasn't the right. Or instead of conferring with Bobby, whatever the case may be. So I finally just got to the point where let's end this. Which is a very, no matter what you do in life, that is a very, for me, whatever I do in life, it is very fun when you can do that. Like back when I was an athlete, before my body betrayed me and started falling apart. And it wasn't my body. To be honest, I was not good to my body when I was young. Because when I would climb a tree as a child to get a Frisbee or a ball or something in the tree, or just to climb a tree, because that's what we did back in the 70s. Why climb down out of the tree when you can jump out of the tree? I mean, my knees bend, it's going to give. Oh my gosh. If I literally could go back in time, I would grab young me, probably get arrested. No, I was going to say probably get arrested for child abuse, but back in the 70s, no, they would have let me slap the shit out of myself. I mean, big me to little me. Like if I could go back in time, I would scream, go, what are you doing? Like Evel Knievel, like I guess there's Jackass and I guess I'm just not around it. I think it's just different. I don't want to be the old guy and go, oh, it was so different back then. But like Evel Knievel was a big deal. Jumping over buses and Shark Tanks and canyons and rocket bikes and stuff. So that was a big deal. So we were very creative. I would say, I would hazard to guess that my generation put forth more engineers. Sorry, thinking through this. Probably not. Probably when the Industrial Revolution and things were being built out, there were more engineers. But I was just thinking that as many ramps and things that we made to jump off of, and now that I think about it, I don't know if we were just so lazy, or I can't imagine it would be for safety concerns. I 100% can't imagine. So I'm thinking, it seemed like we always made a ramp to jump off of, but never to land on. But yet, if you watch like Evel Knievel, he would have a ramp and he would jump up in the air and hopefully clear everything and then hopefully safely land Didn't always happen. Safely land on the other ramp. Maybe that's why we didn't have a ramp. Maybe we saw Evel Knievel crash too many times and for some reason thought the thing that's causing him to crash is the angled ramp. That although seems like it would be easier to land on, this is obviously why he's crashing. So it seems like we invented a lot of ramps. We were able to construct things that would support the weight of us at speed and the weight of us and a bicycle at speed. And I don't know, I do think bike technology was different back in the 70s. I feel like they were heavier, like we hadn't found aluminum or something of a lighter material. Like I'm almost sure as an 8-year-old, if my bike had fallen on me, I would not have been able to get it off of me. Anyway, back to the gray man. I just thought that was a great comment. I think that I'm better than you. Do you want to dance? That's fine. You can say that. And don't let me quantify, because generally what I'll do is I will pick on stuff that I had nothing to do with. Why do you think you're better than me, Rodney? Because I am taller than you. And while I do think my height, I do think I am the best height for a man that God ever created. Thank you, God, because that's amazing. Any taller, I'm hanging off beds, I'm not fitting in cars, my dick's too big to go in girls. I mean, you got problems. So 6'5", that is perfecto. In my estimation. And because I don't want to be vague about this, anything for a guy under 5'7". I know, you had nothing to do with that. Blame your parents. What else do we got? Oh, so there is a person this morning when I'm doing this, which is, 27th of July, 2022. There was I almost said young man, but that has to do with my note. So here is my note. He is a reporter during the morning. The day that I saw this person, which was today, I just gave you the date that I'm recording this. This person was on the morning show talking about the weather. No, they were on the morning show talking about a fallen officer and their upcoming funeral, which is today. I'm not going to make any comments about that right now because it doesn't matter. So, anyway. I want to say I think that it's a young man, but my note, and this is my note. Oh, so Channel 41, KSHB in Kansas City. That's the channel of this person on. Remember, when I say something, I am just making my own commentary, my own subjective commentary without malice. Now, some people, because you have feelings, you may go, oh, well, doesn't matter. Your feelings do. Okay? It's either true or it's not true. You need to get on board with that. I think everyone's life would be better if you just go, it's true or not true, and it shouldn't bother me. It either is true, I lived through it, I learned through it, I grew, I didn't grow, whatever the case may be, or it's not true, and then it's not true. So why would you worry about someone saying something that's not true? So my note is, how does someone look young and old at the same time? Like I said, I was going to say there's this young reporter, but I'm not sure. I want to, for some reason, I don't know if it's the lack of crow's feet, maybe, because I'm trying to think. I don't even know if I recognize that. I mean, I think that it has something to do with skin appearance. like lack of wrinkles in the forehead or something. I think that's what made them look young. But yet they also looked old. I mean, it's like that dress that was on the internet a couple years ago when people were trying to figure out what color it was or something. That's like this is. Like if I showed this picture, here's the thing. If you ask me, do you think I'm smarter than, like if you say, Robe, do you think you're smarter than I am? Before you get to the I am, I have already started to utter the words yes. Okay? So that's how quickly. So you're almost done or just finishing that question and I'm answering it. I do not think there's anyone on the face of the planet where I could say, I need to know if this person is young or old, and then tell them that before showing them the picture, and then hold the picture up. No one answers that fast. I can't imagine a single person where there is not a audible silence. Can that even be a thing? An audible silence. Because silence would be the absence of something audible. Whatever. You know what? I'm going to go with it. We're going to say audible silence. And until someone corrects me, which I'm sure won't be long because I know a lot of people from the society listen to this stinking show, we're going to go with that. Audible silence. I believe that if you said young or old, then held up the picture, not a single person would be able to blurt, even if you wanted to. And tell them, I believe that you could give someone the disclaimer, I want you as quickly as possible, as soon as you see this person's face, to tell me whether they're young or old. First of all, I think as soon as you do it, it'll break their brains. They will have no friggin' idea whether this person, I don't know why I said friggin' instead of fucking. I'm already going to have to put a stamp on this stupid show because I always do. But anyway, even if you said, I want you to blurt out as quickly as possible, I'm going to show you the picture. I bet you if you did that and someone was like, they were going to blurt out something regardless. They didn't care what the picture was. They were going to blurt out young or old. Young, old. That's what they're going to do. But I guarantee if they did that, as soon as they actually register what they're seeing, they'll only think they're 50% right. I know that's a math problem and you're like, I don't understand. So rewind it. I still think that if they blurt something out, that they would not be confident. They would see that. And it doesn't matter, young or old, they'll look at the picture and be like, I could be wrong. It was the weirdest thing. And I don't mean that to be mean. So not only do I not mean that to be mean, I want to write down the next thing. So this kind of ties in. I don't know why. Today's strain, lava cake. We are back to lava cake. Actually, I have some of that this week. So I'll probably be doing a lot of lava cake, maybe some GSC. I don't know. But lava cake's where it's at today. So not to tie it in to earlier when I said going back 40 years. But Mick Jagger, when I was growing up, many people said that I look like Mick Jagger. If you look at young pictures of Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones, people said, they go, you look just like Mick Jagger. And it was because of a few things. I was really, really skinny. I had big bug blue eyes. My face was probably a little sunken in the cheek areas because I was really, really skinny. And then my brown hair was very wavy. No matter how much I tried to blow dry it straight, if there was any humidity, it would get really wavy, my hair. So, I never took offense to that. I never agreed. I always looked and I was like, my retort would be like, I know you think that's a compliment, but he's ugly. Because I did not think that Mick Jagger was attractive. I'm sure that people and groupies thought that Mick Jagger was very attractive. Or just regular people. I bet there are some people that think that that's attractive. I personally never did. So I was like, you're basically calling me ugly here. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then I found out they were all liars because I met this woman named Bobby Lochner. And if I was that ugly, I would have never... Actually, she was drunk in a bar. I probably still would have got her. I mean, she did think she was drinking Mr. Beers, and I think she got confused that night because for the first 3 weeks that we knew each other, and she was probably pregnant during that time, the first 3 weeks we knew each other, she thought my last name was Beer. She thought I was Rodney Beer. Just kidding. I'm not sure she knew my name the first 3 weeks. Because at some point I remember the way we found out, I go, I don't know how I can make this story short. We found out Bobby went to the emergency room for what she thought was like kidney ache or something in her back. We found out she was pregnant. So that's how we found out in that setting. I don't know where I was going with that. Because I just looked down at my notes again, and the last thing I saw was Mick Jagger. So, yeah, I don't think, yeah. No, that's what I was going to say. So when we found out that she was pregnant, I think that's when she asked me. She's like, what's our baby's last name going to be? And I said, Paratestes. She goes, I didn't know you were French. And I said, oui. No, I said, oui, oui. I don't know I know that I have people that listen from France, and I know in Europe there are many people that speak many different languages, and I know I have quite a following over there. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, big news I need to talk about. Anywho, anyhow, anyway, I appreciate that. And if my French accent was poor or the words that I was using were incorrect, I apologize. I mean, I don't apologize enough that I don't apologize. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm sorry if you're offended by that, but I'm actually more offended at how little it takes to offend you. So I get an email over the weekend from, and I should know this because I'm so excited about the news, and then when people ask me questions, they're like, oh, and what was the name of the group? So someone that does rankings sent me a thing and said that this show, thank you very much, has entered the top 50 in shows in the comedy genre. That may be top 50 shows in the Philippines, but I'll take it. Wherever that happens to be. So that was just kind of interesting. So that is because of you all. So it led me to a discussion that I had with Chris from work. Chris, who I found out I was pronouncing his last name incorrectly, or better, I think he was mispronouncing his last name. I almost said he was mispronouncing his last name incorrectly, which I think I may have said earlier, which I believe is a double negative, because he mispronounced and incorrectly, but mispronouncing would indicate that it was incorrect, because I'm telling you that it was mispronounced. Anyhow, anyway, I hope that gentleman comes back on the show. But we were having a discussion about why I was still doing what I was doing and hadn't taken more advantage of my show, this show's popularity, and the opportunity to capitalize on it. And I am very well aware of some of the things that I say in this culture people don't like. Hold on. And so I was talking, and I had said that I'm getting to the point where I could consider entertaining doing this full time, which I would love to do. I would love to turn this into video. Maybe you all wouldn't like that so much. I would love to turn this into video and then bring other content into it. Maybe not to the extent as Kenny does, because, man, Kenny is real. I mean, his photography, his video, it's really good. Go out to Instagram. I can't say Insta, I'm 54. Instagram, at Kenny Did That. But I said my problem was I can't afford to lose. I can't afford to get an advertiser and then lose the advertiser because of something. I would rather just not have the advertiser. Because I don't want to go through any. I don't know. Maybe if I had producer and manager or something that could tell me if I'm doing that right. Because I don't want to have to. So it was funny because Chris then played something from Bill Burr. I believe it was Bill Burr's podcast where he would talk about the advertisers that would cancel. And he would be reading the script or doing something and go off script and then just kind of be like, fuck it. And I said the difference between me and Bill is I do not have Bill Burr money currently. If I did, I could probably be more cavalier with my attitude towards monetizing this show. And the reason I say Bill Burr money is I have been astounded with the amount of money that some comedians make. It is just crazy. Like, I don't know the dollar amounts. I've just seen, like, Jeff Foxworthy's house, and then I think it was Ron White was putting his house for sale in, like, Beverly Hills. And I'm like, how does a comedian have a multi-million-dollar home? I think it was still single digits, but still, for God, heck sakes. I mean, a $9 million, and I don't remember it being gigantic or anything. So I think that the price had more to do with the location of it. However, that being said, still fucking comedians, right? And I know that not all of them get to that, but Jiminy crack horn, I did not know there was that kind of money. Let's see, what else do I have? Wow. I think the last thing I'll talk about, I got some other notes, but I can do that for another show. Yeah, I'll do another show for you at some point. Oh, I wrote down earlier, when I said challenge me, I believe it was Vince from the Society. I was talking once about how we needed cards where we could just, it was basically like a shut up card where we would have a card to just be my thoughts, like a black card and big gold numbers that just had your IQ on it, like 136. So, and everyone would have to carry one. And then you could pull your card out. And it's like a trump card. And I know that there's probably a certain number of young people that think that has to do with a former president. It doesn't. It's called a trump card. That's what he was named after. I'm just kidding. Because his last name was Trump, I believe. Well, I don't believe that. If I believe what someone told me on television, and that was originally their last name. Not his, but way back. It doesn't matter. Trump card. And I believe it was Vince from the Society had said, well, how about if you're debating someone and you pull out your 136, which is my IQ, and someone pulls out a 160? And my response was, I would never get into an argument with someone who's a 160. Here's the deal. Someone who's a 160, that gap between me and them is just as big as me and the average person. So to me, so the disdain that I sometimes show for people of average intelligence, that's 100% the disdain that they would show me. That's why my first hand surgeon, I am 100% sure is a super genius. I would say his IQ is over 145, which would put him in the top 0.1%. And if you ask anyone here in town, they will give you the same answer. And it has nothing to do with the doctor's what they're able to do with a patient surgery-wise. It has to do with their personality and maybe their lack of empathy. And that's what I needed. I will tell you that a lot of times I don't care about, it's not that I don't care about feelings. That is not something that comes into consideration for me. However, post-op, and Bobby will be the first one to tell you this and confirm this, post-op, I'm a little baby and I need someone to take care of this baby. And I need someone that is going to tell me exactly what I need to do, not just say blah and then just leave it. So that is, so that's kind of weird. Oh, I think I started it on the IQ Society. So I'm going to end with this. I brought up Love Island. Bobby watches Love Island. Her favorite is Love Island UK. I believe it's UK. I don't know.
It's where they have the debate society and they talk nothing like this.
So I was talking to Bobby about it because the conversations they have, Bobby asked me whether I thought anyone on that show was a genius. And before she even finished that sentence, I said no. And then I think I laughed and I said, hell no. And then I laughed some more and said, are you kidding me? Was this a trick joke? Just because of the conversations. Someone of high intelligence, I just don't believe. I can put up with more than, I know it doesn't sound like I can, but I literally can put up with more than the average high IQ individual. Most of them, first of all, most of them are not going to put themselves and that wasn't static in the background. Most of them could not put themselves in a position where they would even be around those conversations. I can. If I want to get along in those types of situations, I can. If I want to not get along in those types of situations, then I can. And I have to apologize to Bobby that I will make comments during the show while she's watching it. And then I'm like, I'm sorry. And then I'll try to leave. Just because what they're saying to me, to me, it figuratively feels like someone's stabbing me. Metaphorically, I'm being stabbed. Hypothetic, I know. So then we started talking whether, because just as painful are the conversations for me to listen to, the same way I believe if it was all geniuses and then regular people had to watch. Because the conversations would be different. And so a lot of times they'll be separate. They'll have the men segregated from the women so that the men can talk amongst themselves as well as the women. But a lot of times those conversations are like, I want to go over and talk to so-and-so or this and that or whatever the case may be. So they'll talk a little bit amongst themselves and the guy will go over and go, hey, can I steal you for a moment? Or I don't know what they say. Bobby would be able to tell me,
Do you have a moment to talk?
Whatever.
Do bit.
I don't know what they're saying. Whatever they're saying, they'll get to talk. I have a feeling that if you had geniuses there, the girls would start talking, the women would start talking about something, men would start talking about something. And then they would totally forget that they were on some show that was supposed to introduce them to love. I just have this feeling that they would start talking about, I don't know, quantum computing, and they would geek out about that. And then it'd be a producer be like, any of you want to talk to the ladies? And everyone would be like, what? Who? So first of all, when I asked the question, so I asked two questions. Does anyone watch the TV show Love Island? Do you think an episode a season featuring all geniuses would be something? Wow, the negative response. I mean, if you think... So here's the difference. I am totally open about my feelings. Now, sometimes you may find my feelings contradictory. You may see me saying something and then being something different. And I don't mean... Generally, that's for the better for mankind. Generally, you'll see me talking smack about something, but then I can be in that situation. You'll be like, that is nothing, that reflects nothing of what he just said. Like customers. I literally can talk to a customer, turn around, roll my eyes, turn around and continue talking to them. And I know you shouldn't do that. Well, you shouldn't be so stupid then. Once again, some people will get mad when I say that. It'd be like, well, are you stupid? And they'll be like, no. And it's like, why are you getting upset then? Because there are stupid people out there, and now you're getting upset that people are stupid. Hey, I'm upset they're stupid too. But you just think that we can, if we just don't call them stupid, that they're not stupid anymore. And maybe I'm using the wrong term. Maybe instead of stupid, I need to use something like unsmart, dumb, or idiot. I don't know. Perhaps all of the above. People did not. So then I think I went, and she's left. I think you heard that door slam a minute ago. That was Bobby headed to work. Because I think I threw her under the bus then. I think I said, well, I don't watch it, my wife does. Because as a husband who is out of earshot of their wife, ooh, Dakota just whined. She's like, I think Dakota just whined saying, you better shut the fuck up. Do not go any further with the statement. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it anyway. That a husband, when their wife is out of earshot and there's very little chance of them hearing this, they will just throw their wife under the bus. Like if I went somewhere and I forgot to wear a jacket and I was too cold, Bobby's fault. I mean, unless she's with me, then it's my fault. But if she's not with me, I'll be like, well, I had a jacket and Bobby must have misplaced it. Go to the pool. If my lips burn because I didn't bring the right SPF, you know whose problem it was? Bobby, why did you change bags? Now, I would never say that with her near me because she watches way too much Dateline. And this is a true story. Going back to last night, my mom came over for dinner. We ate dinner, and afterwards, the TV was on and Dateline was on. And so it was on, of course, talking about some murder, and I go, this is one of Bobby's favorite shows. And I think my mom thought... Because I don't watch. I mean, I don't. I'll watch them if Bobby's watching because because she's watching. But I've never turned that show on and said, "Oh, here's an episode I need to see." So it's on. I don't want. I go, Bobby loves these true crime. She's like, really? I go, yeah. I think she's plotting my murder. And my mom just looks at me. I go, don't worry, she'll get away with it. Because Bobby will be the first to tell you that she is learning what not to do. So congratulations. As long as you're learning, as long as you're looking for information and learning from the information that you find, that's all we can ask. I would love to see, I want to produce the Love Island Genius Edition because I do think there are a lot of people of high IQ that are not finding companionship or love because They think they can go to the traditional route. I was very lucky that I met a woman of above average intelligence drunken in a bar. So first of all, it's not the drunken in a bar thing. It's finding the woman of high intelligence. That I was blessed with that. Very much so. Let's see. I didn't even talk about the terminal list door entry. Let's see. These are notes, other notes that I didn't get to. Jamie Wheel, I didn't get to him. Nihilism versus fundamentalism, I didn't get to that. Love Island, Genius Edition, I did get to. And hopefully someday we will be able to share that with the world. And remember, until next time, I think I'm going to start signing off with this. Remember, everyone thinks they're smart until they get rode. Nope. I forgot that's my old theme song from my old show. Boom. Gosh, I miss that. Speaking of which, I have reached out numerous times, but again this week, to Steven, my old co-host from the Roro Show with Steven. Once again, Steven is too busy to hang out with us. We're going to try to get it to work out. I'm very amazed, surprised, excited when I hear about it because I don't know where. Steven said they were out of town this weekend. And Steven has mentioned in the past that they don't like to travel. So I don't know if this was long distance, short distance, business pleasure. Find out what's going on in Steven's life. So, gosh, artist after artist after artist. Maybe able to do something with it sometime. So hopefully Kenny will be on next week. Harry, we're going to get logistics worked out with Harry from the UK. Look up Harry Bodley Scott. You can find Harry's music anywhere you find music, I believe. And then Steven. I hope to have Steven on again. And we have some other guests coming up. So anyway, thank you for joining the show. This podcast is called The Stone Genius. My name is Ro. I am the Stone Genius. I will talk to you all next time. Thanks for joining.